Uh-oh.
Hey,
Come
friends.
here, you want to see?
You want to come see? All right.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, friends. Come on in. We're doing this with kids running around.
We'll give it a shot.
What's the matter? Hi. Here, I'm going to give them Gracie.
How's everyone doing tonight? It's Friday.
It's Friday.
How is everyone doing?
Come here.
Can you all hear us okay?
Here. Good boy.
Welcome. Fantastic. Thank you, Katie.
There you go.
All right.
Hi, friends.
We're going to hang out with y'all, answer any questions that you have.
I just got home from sourcing. Bookmark my show for tomorrow. It's gonna be a good show. We just wanted to do a Q&A and see if there's anything that y'all have questions with or you want help with.
Killer Keeps is going to do her first show. Killer, I'm going to go to your profile. Do you have a show scheduled?
Wow, you have 1.2K followers. Good job. Nope. Here you go. Nope.
Sweet.
The best time, genuinely, is when you can do it. Whenever you can do a repetitive time, that's what I would choose.
Yes.
I would just make sure that you can be, what is it?
Consistent.
Consistent.
Think of it like working out. If you work out one time, good job. But you're not going to get the results until you do it consistently. So just like working out, you'd want to set up your schedule so that the most effective workout is going to be the one that you can consistently do. Not compared to anyone else, what they're able to do, just how often can you do it reasonably without losing your mind. I'm just starting with wanting to do reselling, so I'm wondering where to find the clothing.
Yeah, Kelsey, that's always the first step. Just trying to figure out where you're going to source from. I can say that the best cost of goods for us has been the bins. And if you don't know what the bins are, it's the Goodwill outlets. And yeah, you pay per pound. And if you have one near you, I would make that your sole.
She says, I love to thrift. I just wasn't sure because I want to start at low bids for people so they can afford. Yeah,
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Priscilla. Definitely, cost is going to factor into that. I really think there's a lot of value initially as soon as you find your consistency with being able to do shows, find a way that you can bring in. The first thing you want to do is build your buyer base, people that are going to come back to you consistently. So it doesn't have to be $1 starts. It can be $5 starts, just something that you consistently show up for. So when a buyer does come, they find you, they're like, oh, I love this person. Then you already have shows set up so they can come back the next time, right? So if you had a store, for example, wouldn't make sense to bring people in, or a restaurant, let's say, bring people into your restaurant and then be like, we're only open sometimes, or we don't know when we're going to be open. It's random. What you want to do is set it so that your buyers can expect a time to come back and buy from you again.
Someone said, realistically, how many items should you have for a show? I would say 50. I feel like 50 is enough to give a good show, but short enough that you know, like if you're stumbling or you're having difficulty moving forward in the show, 50 items I think is the perfect amount.
Yeah, again, think of this a lot like working out, right? So don't go into your first shows. The most important thing is how can you consistently do this? So you don't want to go to the gym for the first day and be like, I'm going to max out on everything as hard as I can, because you're likely not to show up the next time. You want to build that consistency, and then you can build the volume in later. As far as like how many items you have in your show, how long you can go for, how frequently can you do the shows.
I think it's, I think a lot of this all factors on you beginning. So like, knowing how many items you like to do can only be found out by actually doing it. Are we allowed to ask about costs/profits? Yeah.
Sure.
Any idea the category whatnot placed you in matter? For some reason, they approved me for jewelry and now I will not be selling that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they didn't place us in a category. I was approved through Vintage Women's, and now you can sell anywhere on the app. So it doesn't really matter if they approved you for jewelry, you can sell anything. You just put it under the right category when you're doing your show. But yeah, Karen, we will totally answer costs and profits. I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
Whenever I go to the bins, I come home and I'm just sneezing like crazy.
Do you make significantly more on Whatnot than you did listing and reselling? No. Any other questions? I'm just kidding. They're two completely different business models. So in traditional reselling, if you want to increase the revenue to your store, you need to find more items and you need to list them. The issue with that is a lot of labor up front to do. So unless you love taking pictures of items from different positions, measuring it, writing descriptions up, unless that's like something you really love to do, finding the best keywords and all that, and then putting it up for a price that makes sense. Unless you love to do that, where you can do like 50 plus a day, 100 plus a day, it's very difficult to get any true momentum because it's a lot of labor up front. Then you need to wait for the item to sell. And so you're sitting on capital and you got to store those items. So the answer is, if you just comparatively looked, and we've actually done this in a presentation before, showed side by side, we made less per item, but we make more because we're able to do more volume. So if we brought in 100 items in traditional reselling, meaning we'd sell on eBay, on Poshmark, Etsy, whatever it might be, it might take us a few days to process those items, meaning like get them up, get them listed, right? You're not making money until it's listed. Once it's listed, then you got to go find another 100, right?
Yeah, maybe.
So those 100 items might take some time to turn over, right? We might have, I'll give you an example. At one point we had like 7,000 items up listed. Well, we might be selling over the course of a month, maybe like somewhere between like a 15 to 30% like sell-through rate. I don't even know if that's right. Actually, I don't think it is. I think it's even smaller than that. A sell-through rate meaning I have this many items available, this is how many you're selling. So we would know, well, if this many items are consistently on average selling per day, if I want to sell more items per day, I need to put up more listings. And so
it's an endless cycle, and I do not suggest it for anyone.
Unless you love to do it. So.
But Karen said she doesn't. She hates it.
Okay, fantastic. I was actually just joking because I don't think there's anybody that loves it. We outsourced it, and it was like, we got to find a different job for this person to grow into because this sucks. So we don't make as much money per piece, but we make more money because we can sell overall because we can sell more items and turn it over. We don't hold on to inventory. We bring it in.
We sell it, and
we have a rack right here. Later on, we're gonna be filling up that rack with clothes. We're gonna hang them. We steam them, and then tomorrow they'll be sold, and then the following day they'll be shipped, and then the process starts all over again. So the cycle goes much quicker, and then we get our money back, and then we can recycle that money back through. Overall was what I meant. You bring home more per month. Yes. I go on this long rant. She's like, that's not what I was asking about.
What?
The shipping is something. You don't need to do 3 shows a week. You really don't, unless you're already like grow into that. don't look at this like working out. There's so many similarities from like working out to reselling. So I think it's a good mindset to come in. Like if you were planning on working out, nobody would be surprised that it would be uncomfortable and you would feel like things weren't going all that well right off the bat, right? So I think it's important to kind of have that same mindset of like, I'm just trying to be consistent, doing what I can do, right? We don't go to the gym and be like, what's the guy next to me doing? I'm going to do whatever he's doing. That's a bad idea. Yeah.
200 pounds.
Yeah. I've never squatted before, but I'll give it a shot. You're going to get wrecked. Don't do that. Find your own lane, find your own pace, and find something that is consistent. Once that's consistently there, then you can start to play around with like, how much do I need to source in order to do one show a week, one show every 2 weeks? Maybe you do one show a month. Jen knows of someone who does one show a month and crushes it. I'm also scared to do my first show because I'll end up selling all my listed inventory for so cheap, but maybe one Ben's haul show would work. So again, it would come down to going back out and
We
finding
have a lot
stuff.
to say about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to say that there's a lot around those who move from traditional reselling to live reselling. The main concern for that seller is, how do I get the most out of every item?
In traditional,
Well, they come in with that mindset of, this is live reselling, I'm going to bring my traditional reselling mindset into this business, and I'm going to be like, how do I get the most out of every item?
Here's the thing with that.
That isn't the game that you should be playing.
Because that works in traditional. That works in traditional because you do need to get as much money per item. But the goal is not the same in live reselling. Your goal is not to sell items at the best price that you possibly can to extract the most profit. Live reselling is different because we had an eBay store with thousands of listings, and our return buyer rate was like
1%.
Yeah,
it was
maybe.
like 0.5%.
It wasn't very high. So what that means,
you're trying to fix him.
What that means is you need to find new buyers all the time. Whereas in live reselling, the entire model is to get return buyers. When you have return buyers, then you can sell stuff because you're doing more volume. So return buyers is the way to go. You want to build your buyer base.
That's the name of the game.
Going back to this idea of working out the similarities between them is, your buyer base is like your muscle. Your goal is to get in and build the muscle. Over time, that muscle will pay off. So you want to build that buyer base because you have that return buyer coming in who's going to spend with you. There's a formula or a concept called lifetime value. So lifetime value of a customer, say for Starbucks, is something like $8,000 or $9,000. We looked it up. It is thousands of dollars. So Starbucks knows. Starbucks knows if somebody wants to look it up, what is the lifetime value of a customer for Starbucks? What that means is, if they can get somebody to come in and buy a Frappuccino one time and they come back again, the value of, on average, for that customer is several $1,000s over the course of that lifetime. So now they know, in order to grow their business, then what they need to do is get more. You've got to get, you want to get more return buyers once you understand, because we'd have somebody might come in and spend $40 on eBay on one item, but we'll never see them again. But yet somebody will come in and spend $1 on an item that we might lose money on, but then they come back and then they come back again, and they end up spending more money with us over time. So that $1 or we lose out on a couple bucks on that item is worth it because the lifetime value is higher than the lifetime value of a customer on eBay. I hope that makes sense. I think
Let's read it out loud.
Yeah.
How long do you think it takes to get a good group / following to have some viewers each live?
So this is going to come down to a couple things. Number one, how consistent you are. So if you think about the shows that you like to attend, I imagine you're probably a buyer on here. If you look at the shows that you like to attend, how frequently are they going live? It might take you some time to get that consistency in. The other thing is why do you like their show? I think a lot of times people come into reselling as a whole. We watch videos. I don't know if you guys did this, but when we first started getting into reselling, we were watching YouTube videos and like where they'd wear the GoPro and go out to garage sales and go out to Goodwills and whatever it might be. And then at the end of the video, they show you like this item went for this and we listed it for this, or we got it for this and it sold for this. And at the end of those videos, after binge watching those, instead of Netflix, you're like, man, I got to get out there and find all the good stuff.
There's treasure out there.
There's treasure out there and I'm missing it. And my business is going to be successful based off of the items that I find. And the difference is in this model is it is not a product-based business. Yes, you do need to find good products and you need to get better at finding those products. You'll get better at sourcing those items as you go along, right? But the name of the game is not the products, it's the process. How quickly can you run through this process and improve that process? So when you say how long does it take to build up that buyer base, depends on how well you can show the item, how many do people come back and buy from you again. It might not take all that long, or it might take a couple months. But when Jen first started going live, she would have like 7 people in there, and it took months.
Maybe
That'd be a good show. And one would be buying, and so I think that there is kind of the idea of going into this of like, it's kind of like the question of like, how long will it take for me to build muscle? And it's like, it kind of depends, but go in with this idea of like consistency and start there. And then from there, we can tweak it and get better as we go along, and it'll compound over time. So your buyers, you'll have more return buyers coming back because your shipping time is good. That's something that we're working on right now. Your buyer experience is good. The way that you show the item is better. Even your playlist gets better. Your lighting gets better. Over time, it gets better and better. And then that buyer base will grow because of the consistency that you're putting in. Same thing if you went to the gym. At first, it's like, how well will I build muscle? It's like, well, it depends on your technique. It depends your consistency. It depends on whether or not you're going to failure or not. And so finding these things, and over time your technique improves. Over time you learn your business better or your body better, and then you can it'll speed up over time. But the main thing is being consistent and doing it for long enough to start getting a feel for it. What's working, what's not working. What am I going to do more of? What am I going to do less of?
That's how you're going to build your buyer base. You want to sit there. That's how you're going to build your buyer base, is by being consistent. Here you go. By being consistent. So like, a lot of people think that it's Chanel. Thank you so much. A lot of people think that it is. Oh, I didn't shut up.
No, don't tell me. How rude.
Are you kidding me? I didn't know you could do that. We're learning things. JJ, what is your deal? Do you want to sit down?
Yes. Like a TV show, it'll grow. Are you ever tempted to do the pallet wholesale boxes and volume sell like some of the big, huge sellers with 250 people? Yes. Yes, we are. It's something that we want to grow into because we look at the bottlenecks in our business as to finding inventory, being able to, every piece that Jen sells is an individually selected piece. And so we're kind of at this peak right here, but we know that if she went live more often, she could sell more often. And so it's about finding, we have new challenges at every level. And so that's kind of the next one. So we are talking about that.
But we're going to do it differently. We're not going to do traditional pallet pulling where quantity is the goal. Yeah. We're going to provide a quality show with a pallet.
Right, using the same principles as we're currently using right now. Danielle's Divine Designs says, sorry if this has already been asked. I'm still a little confused by what is the best shipping profile to have to give the customer the best value.
To refer her to whatnot.com support. It's the best. Oh, I guess you could also do, depends on if you're going to do high volume.
Yeah.
High volume, you're gonna do priority flat rate. If not, you can do individual shipping if you want.
Can you all hear that? She's changing a diaper right now. So she's off camera. Can you hear her?
I'm coming.
Okay.
Yeah. I know you love that, don't you?
It's okay that your baby is being a child. Yes, it is. Thank you. Right. Sometimes I wonder how much they're making per item. So there's so much that
Probably
goes in.
pretty good. They're probably doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think that because we've watched the palette shows. I don't think it really fits her style, but I think that there's so much opportunity in
My
this.
style?
The style of like palette pulls of being like, all right, chat, here it is. Bid up, go, 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 go. All right, good. Here's the next one, go, go. High pace, super high volume, not really what she's going to be going for. I think it's going to be more of a laid back show, trying stuff on, very similar to what she's doing now. But because of the amount of experience she has with sourcing individual items, she has a pretty wide view of what things would work and what things wouldn't. So I wouldn't recommend if you're just getting started, unless you know your stuff and you already have a buyer base, to just start in with pallets, right? You would want to like grow to that, right? Again, don't be doing 450 pound squats your first day in the gym, right? Sourcing is my problem, trying to find items I'm willing to sell for a cheaper price. So here's Divinity Boutique. I'm gonna give you a little secret right here. Your goal at the beginning is to remain at the beginning and forever a student of what's going on. And so a lot of times I think people, because of traditional reselling, we watch some YouTube videos, we see what other people are doing. But if you look at it more of like, well, you're just testing to see what happens. We've intentionally gone through phases where she'll do a $5 start, and then for a period over the summer for probably like 2 months, maybe longer, she was doing $1 starts. That was intentional because she can pick up more variety and then see what works. And then once she's honed that in, then she will increase her prices to $5, which does increase the profitability of each item. But the main thing is like during the time that you're doing $1 starts, you're trying to get more buyers in and figure out what it is that they like, so you can get more of those things. I think a lot of times, honestly, people come in and they're like, I know what sells, I know what doesn't sell. Maybe, but fashion moves, and it's an ever-moving thing. It's like a river that's ever changing course. And so you want to stay in this mindset of always be testing, so that you don't get caught up in being like, yep, Y2K is the way to go, I'm never going to change that. And then when it shifts away from Y2K, then you're like, dang, where'd my buyers go?
I've done that so many times. I've fallen in that trap.
Also, for shipping, to add on to my first question, when you weigh items, do you weigh them in the box? Because that's what I read to do, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Danielle, I will refer you to whatnot.com/support. They're gonna have the best way to help you with shipping. The shipping's kind of like a very
Don't you have
intricate thing.
Q&A yet?
I have them all. I'll take them down because of course.
Gotcha. We'll probably do like probably I'd say in the next. We're gonna do these every Friday. So
yeah, we're gonna be doing Q&As.
Because shipping's a big thing, and it's like a whole thing in and of itself. But once you understand it, it's not as difficult. Yeah. Some people are paying more than retail on pallet shows. 100%. Why? Why are they doing that? I'm gonna bet it's not because it's because of the seller, right? So that's what you're looking to do. You're looking to create a relationship with your buyers. The trick is to actually care about them. That's the trick. I've definitely gone into Whatnot shipping info. Okay.
Whoops.
Sorry. I think we'll cover shipping in more detail probably within the next 30 days. All right. Will you make the show available for viewing later? I have to go, but I'm really interested in what you say.
The Jeweled Cat. Unfortunately, it can't keep my past shows up because of legal stuff that I'm in. But feel free to hit us up. If you click on the show notes, my husband and I, we have a live Reseller Pro coaching group with all of this content in the group. If you're interested, just click on the show notes and type in my Instagram handle, and the link to the group is in my bio on Instagram.
So I'm curious for y'all.
You're so welcome.
Do you mind if I ask your average sell price? I will just tell you. Give me 1 second. How's this for transparency? We'll just tell you what happened last night. It fluctuates because we try out different things.
Mm-hmm. But my husband is the number guru. Without his numbers and his tracking, I don't know where we would be. Hi, Grace.
Hey.
Hi. Yeah, you gonna go see sister?
Might be easier off my phone.
Mm-hmm. Where is she?
I'm gonna tell you specifically once this thing.
Yeah, I think you
Loads
froze
up.
it. It's loading.
Loading.
Hi, Grace.
Okay, so I'm kind of a nerd. I tracked
So is
last
Priscilla.
night.
She's
Last
in
night
here.
I tracked her show hour by hour. She was on for about 5 hours last night. At the beginning, her revenue per piece was $4.86. At the 5th hour, it was $7.94. So it went up quite a bit, and that's actually kind of a trend that we see, where the first couple hours are just a little bit slower, and then it picks up later. But that's also because of some things that Jen is intentionally doing. Hi, sweet girl. Oh, you want to get on camera? This is Gracie.
Robin, if you're a beginning seller, I would absolutely load your store. Putting the information, all the information that they need, measurements, a title, and a couple of photos, I think is one of the best ways for you to begin. Also, look at your show, designing your show as like a roadmap. So anything you load into your store, I would do it in numerical order. Start with item number 1 and then run your whole store. I find that if you're new, loading your store is going to be the easiest way for you to feel comfortable on camera, for you to be prepared to be able to show every item. And it's gonna prevent you from deviating. So like if you're brand new, I wouldn't suggest doing random polls and adding them manually. I think loading your store will teach you how to do that later if you choose to not load your store anymore.
So Marcy Renee, why do you have legal issues? Not judging, just trying to understand how you can help us newbies. It's not related to
it's not
anything to do with
related
this.
to
It has
this.
to do with custody stuff and divorce custody things. Okay.
Did you
Because
just
do
say
you also
that?
put higher end pieces towards the end?
Yeah, Karen.
Yes.
I will. I love how you like to answer the questions
Yes,
that I
that's
only
what I
know
do.
the answers to. Yes, I strategically will do my show lineup where I put most of my best items towards the end, but I'll sprinkle some like throughout the beginning.
I do want to answer Kelsey's Closet. I love your name too. How did you come up with that? So that's from this girl. So this is Grace. Gracie is her name. When she
Everyone
was
calls me Grace.
when she was in the womb, we had decided we were going to start a business. We didn't know it was going to be reselling, but Making Grace was, we were in the process where she was growing Grace inside of her. So it was Making Grace. And then she started selling vintage. So it became Making Grace Vintage. Marcy Renee is like, I see no more questions. I get it, which remind me of like legal stuff. Like, no more questions, Your Honor. Just don't want to be boxed into my bin, you know. Totally. So if you've watched these Q&As before or you're part of our group, you will understand that we have what's called the 5S model, which is anyone who is reselling at all.
I've heard that a million times.
She's heard it a million times. It's been written up in our whiteboard in our kitchen. She might be able to actually go through the 5 S's, but they are this. First thing is you got to source. The next thing is you got to stage it. Staging the items, just cleaning it, getting it best prepared to sell it, right? Like staging a home. The third thing is to show it. You got to show the item, make an offer out there. Once somebody's purchased from you, you got to fulfill it, so you ship the item. And then the last thing is you need to understand the story of your business. This is the numbers, the tracking, the writing down, the journaling about what's happening in your business. So that's the 5S model. If you have a reselling business, all 5 of those are elements. People tend to come in for number one, they're like, hey, I want to make some money. I think I can do this. I have an eye for it. Or they're a treasure hunter at heart and they're just trying to figure out a way that they can continue to treasure hunt and either break even or make some money. So they love sourcing. Unfortunately, some people get so good at sourcing that they never actually stage their items or show their items. Therefore, they never ship their items. And even if they were doing all that, they don't understand the story of what their numbers and their journals and things are telling them. And so it can become difficult. So the story is probably my favorite part because I'm not doing okay, I have my first show approaching. What is the sweet spot of pricing? $5 starts are difficult for me, but feeling pressure to start low. 100%, because this is going to be the biggest mindset shift that you can make.
As a new seller.
I'm going to give you an example. We're going to stick with this analogy of working out. If you walk into the gym and your goal is to lose fat, that is wildly different mindset than to walk in and be like, I'm going to build muscle, right? Wildly different. If you walk into your show to try to figure out pricing so that you can make your money back, I'm going to challenge that idea because I think it's a difficult thing to do while simultaneously doing the thing that you really want to do, which is to grow a buyer base. So you want them to come back to you. So here's the trick to it. Here's the mindset of it. Your lifetime value of a customer is going to be higher than you probably expect. Meaning, we've had customers that have spent 4 figures with us, so over $1,000. Customers that have spent a couple $100. We've had customers come in brand new that have spent a couple $100 in their first show. It doesn't happen all the time, but what we found is there's this growing lifetime value of a customer. So when you go in to price your items, don't think of it as a way of how do I profit off of this item? Think of it in a way of what is my cost that I'm willing to pay to gain a customer who may come back to me again and again, who may spend hundreds of dollars or even over thousands of dollars with me over the lifetime. It can be hard because of the initial thing. You're like, look, I've got stuff. I know it can go for more than what it might go for on Whatnot. I'm really concerned I'm going to get in there. I'm going to start at $5, but my cost is like, let's say $6 on average. So every time I sell something, I'm losing more than $1 after fees and everything are taken out. Instead of looking at it like, oh, I lost $1, think, oh, I spent $1.50 and I gained a customer.
It's like marketing.
It's marketing is what it is. And then you want to gear your business to be so dialed in with shipping, with how you do your shows, your process, everything that you're doing and finding the items that people come back again and again. So people come back over and over to you because you're consistently doing it. So I think that's the biggest mindset shift in
It's the number one thing. It's the number one thing. I cannot stress that enough. That once I understood that I wasn't trying to make the most out of every single item, I was trying to accrue a customer. I'm trying to get people to come back. That is why anytime I get a new buyer, I am going to learn their name. Because once you say their name in a live, it changes everything. And once you go out of your way, yes, baby, to be intentional with learning about your customer, they're gonna come back. JJ, what? Show mama.
I would start with what you paid for it. No, the only thing is keep it really simple for your customer. So if you're going to do $5 starts, don't do some at $5, some at $7. This one's an $11 start. This one's this. It becomes a little confusing. You want to set something up that makes it more consistent for the buyer, so that they know what kind of show it is and they know what to expect. Do you ever do Poshmark live shows? We don't, but we have somebody in our coaching group in our community that she only does Posh Live and she crushes it. So she's doing in revenue. The last time that we went through her numbers, which was a few months ago, where we actually had like a one-to-one call, and she was doing 5 figures on Poshmark Live. So there are different styles as well. She talks about the differences between the two. Krista, I'm getting pretty defeated when I'm selling the exact same item as another seller and that goes above retail and I can't even get a quarter of it. So Krista, this is the, almost feels like a popularity contest. What's interesting about this is if you see some of these really big sellers, they do sell things for more than retail. And it's like, how are they able to do that? So some have like a really big social media following that they brought it into. Some are they've just been doing this for a while. And I think that one of the things to consider if you're like, hey, I'm selling the exact same thing as others, is to look at like, what else might you be able to branch off to, and what sets you apart from the other sellers initially is you have an advantage. If you're looking at somebody that has like a couple hundred people in their show, the advantage for somebody who's just starting out is you can build your buyer base by actually creating a relationship with your buyers that come in. And so you can slow down and actually like talk to them and figure out what it is why do they continue to come to your show? What is it they like about it? Is it your items? What about your show do they like? And then building that relationship and even understanding. We've been surprised that when Jen's asked questions on our lives that the demographic is not what we thought it was. And so sometimes I think you might be surprised because you're looking at two separate demographics. A demographic, an age group, maybe even an area of the country that's interested in you might not be interested in that other seller. And so continually doing it and learning more about your buyer base, that way you can deliver more to that buyer base. Tell the story of how the product is important enough to sell, and tell the story of how the product is important enough to sell to whom wants it. Yep,
it's important. How you found being a storyteller while you're live is such a good quality to develop.
Krista, you really are crushing it. We've dropped into your shows, and this is why I related to working out so much, is because when we come into live reselling, we have expectations of how it's going to go. When we go to work out for the first time, I think everyone is familiar enough with the human body that they know what that would be like. And so when we go into like work out, we know that we're going to get sweaty. We're going to feel weak at times, or we're even getting to get to points that we can't even do the thing that we're looking to do. If you did not know that going into the gym, you would go one time and be like, well, that was the worst experience of my life, right? And so it's like that pushing through, understanding, like one of the things that we talk about in the group is understanding the gain that you are making. Because if you are looking to another seller, that becomes your horizon that you're looking down the road to.
And you're never going to meet it.
Do you know why? Because the horizon continues to move. And if you are, it's called The Gain and the Gap. It's a book. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. If you are in the gap is between where you are right now to the horizon you're looking at. The horizon always moves. So as you move towards the horizon, it will continue to move. When you do that, if you're measuring from the horizon to where you are, it is miserable. It will take you out. Comparison to somebody else's business will wipe you out. What you want to look at is the gain that you are making. So you don't measure from where you are to the horizon, where you want to be, where you think you should be, where somebody else is. What you want to measure to is from where you are today to where you were when you first started.
So look backwards, look at the progress you've already made. But I would say, as an example of comparing someone in your business, if you guys know who Kofi Vintage is, Kofi Vintage, Priscilla's average cost of goods and my cost of goods are way different. Like, Priscilla and I are very open about our businesses, and if I were to compare myself to Kofi Vintage, it wouldn't be fair, because Kofi is selling luxury designer vintage items, and I'm selling modern and vintage. So you don't know where that business owner or that live seller has been, and you don't know where they're going. You don't know their cost of goods. Like, there's so many variables that you don't know. So to compare yourself to someone else, it just isn't helpful.
But what you can do is, Krista, go back and look at from when you first started your first shows and see how many new buyers that you have in. Go spend some time in the analytics. I can't tell you how many times Jen has come out of the show and been like, well, I think I should just quit. I should just quit. That was the worst thing ever. I'm like, what are you talking about? Let's sit down and actually look over this. And we sit down and say, oh, that's actually pretty good. Oh, look, we're up from, you're winning right now. I thought I was losing.
Well,
why? Because I was looking at someone else's scoreboard.
Well, and I also, I think a lot of times we base how our show or our business is going based on how we feel and not on the actual analytics of what is happening.
100%. So, did you originally start your bids less than $5 when you first started on Whatnot? Yes. If that's the case, when did you change to $5 starts? After a few months.
Well, I did $1 starts when I was pregnant with JJ. I only did $1 starts, and I did that for like 4 months. And then I took a 9-month hiatus, and I had a baby, and became a mom again. And once JJ was old enough, I went live and started doing $1 starts again, which I did for
a couple months.
No, it was longer than that.
A couple was 2 to 3?
Yeah. I'd say 3 months.
Okay.
And then I went to $5 start. So that $1 start is really, really good for getting your buyer base developed and understanding that you may take a loss on some of the items, but it's a really good enticing sort of promotion to run to get people to buy your stuff.
So you might be spending more to acquire a customer at $1. Obviously, you're gonna spend more to acquire a customer at $1 than you are at $5. But what you're doing is you're acquiring as many customers as you can, giving the best experience possible as you can. One thing to tie in with this, Grace asked, when you were first starting, did you PM customers from last shows to see if maybe they want to join the next? The answer is no, but she already had a consistent schedule built, so she'd be like, hey, bookmark my next show, so you'll hear it. If you watch her show tomorrow, if there's a new buyer, she'll be like, hey, thank you so much for buying. Just so you know, I do shows every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, so go bookmark my shows. Gives a call to action. Hopefully they go do that. Maybe they'll come back. And so you just want to find that consistency to do it. Over time, your customer acquisition cost, how much you're spending to acquire a customer, which you might come out of pocket for initially, will go down over time, because the more customers you have come in, the more that there's like a bidding culture. They bid against each other because it's the same people are liking the items that you have in there, and then you start to make your money there. But it's that process of like going through.
No business is profitable like day one.
Yeah.
You're going to have to put into your business, and sometimes it feels like you're taking a loss. But if you look at it over the long term, you're gonna win. So
if you look at it not from that you're taking a loss on your business, but in the gain of looking at, I'm acquiring a customer. So let's say you go out and you spend $200 on to source for a show, and then after fees and everything, you end up making like $150, and you're like, oh man, I lost $50 overall. But then if you look and say, yeah, but I got like 15 customers. So what was your cost to acquire those customers? And then a portion of those customers will come back. And then that's what you're going to do, is keep building
You're
that.
just going to keep doing that.
Over and over and over
the
again.
Bidding culture happens when
you
get enough repeat buyers that they start bidding against one another. So that is your goal, is to get a good customer base who wants to come back. You're missing this one. Do you find that other sellers starting their items at $1 overpower someone like starting at $5? No. I would say that you can do either. Genuinely, what it comes down to is you as the seller. People come back to my lives because they enjoy me as a seller.
The process of it, everything, the music, the shipping, even though our shipping has been slow, it will improve. But
we're working on it.
Who she is, right? Who she is. I think if we look at it from that sense, it becomes a bit easier. We're acquiring a customer who's already invested, even if it's $1, they invested $1 into you. That's a seed, right? And if they spend if you can get somebody to give you $1 for something, they're more likely to come back and spend another $1 with you. So at first, you just kind of got to get that going where they're like, especially if somebody knows that they're getting a bunch of deals, there's this thing of like reciprocity where people will come back to you again and again because they know that they're getting a good deal. At first, it may seem like it's not going all that well, but you just keep doing it. And over time, you will have a customer base that if you're focused on actually serving them and focused on them, it will grow over time. But she's right. There's not I don't know too many businesses like day one that are profitable.
Yeah. I did it.
And if it is, it might be illegal. I think you need to look at that. What did you think the demographic was? So there are studies that show that who is spending money on live selling, and so we thought it was probably people under like the age 35, between like 22 to 35 years old, female. We knew that it was primarily female, a lot of East Coast for us. It actually ends up being that our demographic is much older than that right now.
Do show bookmarks correlate to viewers? No.
But they help.
They do help. But I mean, I had 114 for this Q&A, and we have 24 people. It doesn't correlate,
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
But it is, we want to utilize everything, get them to come back, remind them. And that's another thing as well. You want to find that volume, the consistency of the show that you can do, so people don't forget who you are. Like if you can set it up to where they are receiving a package from you, so they come and buy from you on a Monday, and then you send off a package on Tuesday, and it arrives to them on like a Thursday or a Friday, and you have a show on Saturday, they're more likely to probably come back, if that makes sense, because you are now top of mind. So when you shifted to the $5 starts, did you still find the same amount of people buying per show initially, or did that take time as well? It goes down a lot.
It went down. Like my last $1 show, I think I had 74 buyers. And then in my show yesterday, I had 47. So, and 7 of them were giveaways. So, it definitely, the amount of people who do buy does go down.
So when you shift, okay, we're going to do that one. Yes, I think it's the problem is the loss to the gain and the time you spend for that. But exactly, you're looking for the revenue. Yep, Divinity, that's right.
I know. We all need a numbers guy like the Hubs. Amen.
We do covered numbers in the coaching group. But if you aren't familiar with it, just go play around on the Whatnot analytics. Obviously, don't worry about your story of what your business is telling you if you're not doing shows, right? So look at where you're at in that 5S model. Sourcing, staging, doing shows, shipping, or doing the story. Like, what is your business telling you? And what are you telling about your business as well? Because then people come back because they're following your story as well. So it's kind of like double-sided with the story thing. Some people they love the sourcing game, so they're sitting on a bunch of inventory and they're waiting for just the perfect time. They're like the Lego collector that's like,
And
in
it's
30
never
years,
gonna
this is
happen.
going to be worth a lot of money.
Mhm.
Don't be that person. Move your stuff. I
Mhm.
promise you, there's more out there. There's so much out there. You will never be able to keep up with the amount of stuff that is out there to get, right? So there's no lack. So if you're stuck in sourcing and you just have a bunch of clothes, stage those things. Stage all your pieces, steam them, and get them up, right?
Because they don't make any money
They
with
don't-
them sitting there.
Mm-mm. So that is the first part of it. And then what you want to do is once you're doing this consistently, then you want to start looking at your stories and understanding your numbers, play around in the Whatnot analytics, and then show up to these Q&As and we can talk about it. Is it's still 1,000 selling before Whatnot pays right away? I have thought about selling, but that is a lot of time versus eBay or other platform.
Yes, it's still 1,000 sales before you get paid immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But Poshmark, their shipping when you get paid is after they receive the item. So it's gonna be better than on Poshmark. They paid immediately.
And Depop would too.
But the amount of work that you have to put in to sell on these platforms, and you have to store and keep the item until it sells. Also, another reason why we love Whatnot is because we get so much market data so quickly.
Yes.
When we were doing traditional reselling, an item would sit for 6 months, and yeah, maybe it sold for the whole amount of $200, but was it really that good of an item if it sat in your storage unit for 6 months? So you don't really have the market data in traditional reselling that you do in live reselling. I'm getting instant, immediate feedback after every show, and it's invaluable.
Because if you look at it in that way of like testing, so we look at it, we talk about this all the time, you're really doing the low starts to do two things. You are looking to, number one, build the buyer base like we talked about. Then the second thing is market data. You want to figure out what's selling. And if you have somebody that they don't get that data from
Grace,
anywhere
what's
from like
wrong with him?
a week to like 90 days, the person who's getting that feedback quicker is going to improve like, magnitudes quicker than the person who's only learning of something, after it sells, like, oh, maybe that wasn't that great of a purchase now that I've been sitting on it for 90 days. Like that 90 days, the person who's live selling is going to learn so much more than the person who just sold something and they're like, oh, that was probably a bad purchase. It's so hard sitting in a crappy show just because it's $1.
Yes.
Don't think that price and product is going to be the thing that does it for you. It's not. This is not a product-based business. It's a process-based business.
And that's the hardest thing to understand as a live reseller, is that this is a process-based business. Yes, the product is important. You need to have good items, but it's not the only factor that makes you successful. It is, how are you doing the 5S models? How are you moving through each step of your business, and are you doing it accurately and efficiently? And are you moving in the direction of your processes are being refined every single day?
Do you have stats on time of day for shows? The best time is when you can consistently do it. This is like the same thing of going back to the working out thing. What is the best exercise program to do? The one that you're going to do consistently. That's the best one by far. So many buyer fees, now it's not even worth buying on. I don't sell clothes, so Poshmark isn't a good reference, but I get what you're saying. Cool. I've done a couple shows now, and I'm finding that I am having an issue with people just not even showing up. Any tips for that? 2 shows, no sales.
What category are you selling in? I would suggest, if you are in women's contemporary, you're in a very big, you're in a pond with a lot of fish. If you can sell vintage, I would start out in women's vintage. You're going to have 3 to 7 people live at the same time versus women's contemporary where it can be anywhere from 70 to 100 people. So you'll visually be seen in different categories.
You might want to try promoting,
Mm-hmm.
and then, yeah, I'd be interested to see, if you have people if you're promoting your show and you have people coming in, then you're going to want to look at things like, how's my lighting look? How does it sound? Do maybe some tests on that and see what it looks like. Another big thing is I'll pop into people's shows all the time, especially people that don't have anyone in there. I'll just pop in and be like, oh, this person has like 4 people in there. And I go in there and there's no one even on the camera. And there's no explanation in the chat as to what's happening. And so think about this as like, if you walked in to a party at a house, someone gives you an address like, oh, there's a party here, and you get the address, they're like, oh, just go in, and you walked in, and if there was no one there, you're like, did I just break the law? Like, you would leave. So be aware that your very first impression of somebody walked in, make sure you're on camera, make sure that you are you're up and you're ready to go. Make sure that your playlist is something that gives you like energy, something that you want to do. Be aware of that. Like you're putting on like a production or a show, or like you're a host to a party. So what happens if somebody walks through the door? Don't know what it is because I haven't seen your shows, but that might be just a couple like things to run through. It's really hard to run something you know is worth $500 or more.
Not anymore.
We have a thing. Number one, we do volume, but we have something we say to each other. Like Jen would be like, this thing could easily go for like $400. You're like, allegedly. Like we just say allegedly, like maybe, we don't know. You don't actually know. I think the main thing is if you can get your mindset to a place that you are like, whatever, I'm cool with it, whatever. But it does take time to build up to that. If you have items you're like, I don't want to let this thing go, put it aside.
Show 'em.
Yeah, don't show it and put it aside. Don't do like, I'm doing $1 starts. So you're, except for this $250 jacket, it starts at $150. Like, don't do that. I really appreciate this live. You guys are giving helpful tips. Cool, thank you, Divinity. Yes, women's contemporary, but also homemade jewelry. And you can also look, so you can get on and see what your overall volume is. So if the actual category itself only has like 50 people in it, that's going to be hard, because if you're going to go in to a category that doesn't have much viewership in it, maybe this isn't the best platform for this type of live selling. But we do believe that live selling, not just on Whatnot, we do love Whatnot, but live selling we believe is going to continue to grow. If you want to know, I go into depth in our coaching group. This call that's like 3 hours long. It's called Foundations of Live Reselling, and it breaks down like the opportunity, and the opportunity in live reselling is absolutely massive.
It's insane.
You're gonna see people, you've already seen it, people make very high incomes with it, but something to keep in mind is like, where is your market? I've watched a lot of lives. I try to get different tips from each seller, but it seems like everyone is chasing the same product. Do you find that as well? She goes out and finds each product individually, so.
And I base all sourcing my shows off of what I like and also what I know will sell based on my data. So after every live, we ask our coaching group to do a show journal, and a show journal just really helps you understand like what were some of my highest bidded up items, so you can write those down, so when you go sourcing the next time you're like, oh, this type of item sold for $75, I'm gonna keep picking this up. But yeah,
I would suggest as a buyer just, Boombox. By the way, Travis, we love you.
yeah, we do.
We love you. Like, we've never talked before in person. I have seen some of your shows. You're incredible. If you're not currently doing shows, you should, because the world is missing out.
Yes.
So don't be selfish, do shows. The $500 items also encourage
Gracie,
people.
don't play with that toy. It's so loud, baby.
You can go do it downstairs. The $500 items also encourage people to come back. Yep.
Yeah.
I would suggest as a buyer just shopping, share shows as much as possible. There's something to having your shows shared, and that's the thing. When people come in and they love what they're doing, they want to love what you're doing, they will share that. Also, when something doesn't sell, do you put those things into later shows, or what do you do with them? So currently, they're gone. But that's not necessarily the case for where
everyone.
for where you might be.
I did not enjoy taking hey,
Gracie, baby.
I didn't
weird
turn it on.
thing.
Okay.
I didn't turn it on. JJ did.
Okay.
As far as like putting items that
Unplug it,
didn't
please.
sell
From the
and
back.
putting them in another show, I just found, as me personally as a seller, that I didn't enjoy trying to resell something I already tried to sell. I will hold on to items and do a $1 start like later on. So if I accumulate a lot of items, I will just do a $1 start just to move some of them. But I'm the type of seller that I want the item to be new to me and new to my buyer.
I'm new to Whatnot. You're actually my favorite show to watch. You clearly have so much fun doing what you do, and this Q&A is super cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Who is that?
I like how I say thank you, even though it's the only time I'm on camera.
Miss Sundress, thank you so much.
It's true that with the younger audience, Yeezy, Babe, things like that are very sought after right now. So I think that's the thing. Like, you're gonna find, if you can test, go into that mindset of testing, you're gonna find things that you'd be surprised on. Like, big sellers for Jen right now are blankets. She sold kids clothes as well. So be really curious about what is out there. I think you'd be surprised at what people are willing to pick up, and you might come across stuff.
And what's interesting is everyone's buyers are different. So like what sells well for Priscilla doesn't sell well for me. And I genuinely think it goes with the style of the seller and understanding like, oh, okay, I'm actually selling things that I'm supposed to sell that I enjoy. And with that, you can design. That's the best thing about being you, is no one else can be you. No one else can be making Grace vintage.
Boombox
Precious.
says, I love you. Thanks, I did 2 this week. That's awesome. If you guys are not following Boombox, go follow Boombox right now.
He's amazing.
Any regrets in reselling? Would you do anything differently? Yes.
We would live sell immediately.
So that, and then also understanding the mindset going into it first. And then I think the other thing is we always regret it when we stop being consistent. That just doesn't work. Or when we fall off of things that we already know work. So certain principles like doing show journals, doing sourcing journals, tracking numbers. It's so weird.
All the important things.
Yeah, all the important things. But if you do it, your business will grow because you're paying attention to it. If you stop doing those things, your business will decline out. It's so weird.
What you focus on grows.
Right. So that would be the thing. Just keep going. Makes sense. I honestly got on here to support a local business that got on the platform and decided to do a closet clean out with my mom. And now I'm wanting to keep going as a reseller. I think you should.
Danielle, that's so cool.
Can you explain the shipping cost and how it works for both the buyer and the seller cost-wise? I think Divinity, we'll do a whole thing on it. We did have she did a Q&A that was just solely on shipping, and she has a really good way of explaining.
It's on YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah.
So go to Live Reseller Pro.
Yeah, if you go to YouTube, all of my lives from Whatnot are on there. And if you go to, just click through the Q&As, and in the title it will say on shipping. So it's Live Reseller Pro on YouTube.
Is this full-time for you both? Do you find you have a good work-life balance? Yes, this is full-time for us. The work-life balance. I feel
we have a lot to say about that too.
One of the things that we noticed in our group, we talked about this. We call it the Core 4. It's the things that every single person on this planet deals with. So the first thing being faith. Faith is like, what do you believe about why we're here? Where did we come from? Your faith is also has a big thing to do with your own identity and who you are, your entire worldview. Where do you think the world's going? All that. So faith is one. Everyone on the planet has to deal with that. Second thing is fitness or physical, your physical body, right? So everyone has a body, so you have to deal with that.
I don't have a body.
The third thing is family, so relationships. And then the fourth thing is money. Everybody has to deal with money in some way. And so we find that if things start getting off balance, it's most likely, and I'm not a big believer in, like, we don't use the word balance very often. I think it's more of like, how do we move away from entropy, or like everything kind of breaks down if you don't pay attention to it. Like if you have a garden and you don't do anything with it, weeds are going to grow. So finding a good way of dealing with entropy to work to more like an organized way, and not forgetting about any of those core four in that process. So we find we might be working a lot, doing a lot of stuff, but then not working out, and then we're like, why are we not sleeping as well? Because we're staying up later, we're not eating the best foods, whatever it is. And then once we get that kind of back in place, the finance or business improves. And so kind of finding a way to work those in and keep them on the forefront. I could listen to the two of you share all day. Thank you for imparting your wisdom tonight. 100%. Sweet. Live Reseller Pro. Did you...
She asked. She was wondering what the screen name was.
Organically, Marcy Renee.
What are you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
One of the things that we haven't done yet is actually doing like paid advertising. One of the things that I always wanted to do with the whole process. The whole process has been organic. I don't know it's specifically what you're asking about, but absolutely organic. We're not on any steroids or anything. We're all natural,
baby.
I'm spending so much time listing when what I want to be doing is sourcing.
Same. That's how I felt.
So unless you're listening to do a show.
Well, here's the thing. This is another reason why I love live reselling compared to traditional reselling. The only joy that I received in my business as a traditional reseller was sourcing and when the item sold. I never had any communication with my buyer. I never got to be like, look at this amazing item. I had to take photos of it and put it up and pray that someone saw the value and bought it. But this way, I get to go sourcing and I get to tell the story of the item and why I picked it up. It was like, it's the best thing ever because you have an interactive audience who is like, I love what you source and I love what you find and I'm going to come back.
Yeah. Marcy says, is it coming to organically in a natural way, godly? So that's where that faith piece comes in. And this is something that we're talking about a lot. So every morning in our coaching group, we've been doing this thing we call morning moves. So after we spend our time, we are believers in Jesus Christ and followers of Jesus Christ. So we wake up and first thing we do is spend time with the Lord. Afterwards, we come together and talk about some of the stuff that has come up for us. And so then after that, we'll post a video.
I love you, Meg. I love you so much. Thank you.
Look, all your friends just showed up.
Hi, friends. Hi. We're just doing a Q&A.
So then we share that. We found if we put that first, the faith first, and whatever your faith is, test it, put it to the test. No matter what it is that you believe something, but definitely like believe in yourself first and foremost, but your identity in this plays a big part. So I think that's something to just keep in mind.
Thank you so much for the tip. I don't know who tipped, but I swear I can do this.
I got you.
Thanks,
I got
man.
you.
Thank you so much, Danielle. And thank you, Karen.
We're getting Ben and Jerry's tonight.
Yeah, bro.
After I'm like, guys, get your fitness in line.
You worked out. You did good.
You better give me Ben and
Yes.
Jerry's.
Oh, look who comes just flying out of nowhere because you heard
I've
ice
been
cream.
trying to ask you.
Oh.
Okay, well, when we're done, we'll go get it.
You're doing okay and watching JJ.
Yeah.
I'm drawing with him.
Oh,
Thank
she
you so
just threw him.
much, Karen.
All right, Gracie just got Ben and Jerry's too tonight.
Woo. But
God first, always seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added to you. Right? Seek that first. Go.
let's tell them about the coaching group. If they
Okay.
want to be a part of it.
So right now the coaching group is $27 a month. We meet up on a call every Monday. And then we are doing morning moves, and then where we just share what we're doing that morning. We're really looking to build in accountability with it and helping people move through no matter what stage they're at. We have people in the group. It's a very small group right now, which is cool because that gives us opportunities that we wouldn't have as this thing grows. So we're more open to doing like one-to-one calls with people inside the group. Like if someone messages like, hey, can I have a call with you? 100%.
And you don't need experience. You don't have to be a live reseller to join the group.
Right.
But
Yeah,
you
we
do
do
have
have-
to have ambition to begin.
Otherwise, it won't make sense. So right now, we have people in the group that are crushing it. We have people that are well into full time. We have people that are brand new that haven't even done a show yet, and then we have everyone in between. We have someone in our group who's awesome, Brick and Mortal. She's on Posh. She does Posh Live. She crushes
Oh,
it, and
someone
they're super
asked if we
knowledgeable.
did Poshmark Live. It was
I
earlier.
answered it. Do you ever buy on Whatnot?
No. I got in trouble. I get in trouble when I buy on Whatnot, and my cost per piece is too high when you include shipping.
I feel like I have analysis paralysis. Like I need that nudge just to get started. How many different items? How many different items? But feel like I don't know my lane. I think as I've talked with people one-to-one and learning where people are at, that's really common. That's so common. You have an eye for it, you love it, but now it's like, okay, now start trying to start moving this stuff. That's why we're building in this accountability piece into our community so that we can help hold each other accountable. That's why we're making a video every morning, because that was our what we call public accountability. We're like, hey, this is what we're doing, and we committed to doing that. And now if we don't do it, they'll know if we don't do it. So sometimes you just need that little nudge and that permission, or somebody to be like, get your butt in gear, get going. There's nothing that's gonna it's the same
But
thing.
that's what the coaching group is
Yeah,
for.
in
Is
6
to
months
hold
from
you
now.
accountable.
In 6 months from now, you might be like, man, I wish I would have started 6 months ago, right? And so sometimes you just need somebody there, and to know that the same thing that you're going through, other people are going through as well. Buying on Whatnot can be good marketing though too. So I completely
That's
agree
how I
with
learned
that.
a boombox.
Yep.
Was he
And-
was buying all my stuff.
And because Travis has contributed, Boombox has contributed so much to the shows, we will always shout him out. And so it's good to go in and contribute to other people as well. And so for example, if she finished a live and she has 50 people in there and Travis was live, she would for sure go to Travis, right?
Well, then I should have 1 million followers by now.
What do you mean? Info about
They
where do we
want to
get
know
it?
about the group.
Where do
If
we
you
get it?
click on the show notes, the coaching group we're talking about, if you click on the show notes and you go to my Instagram handle is
Grace.
at the top, and the link to the group is in my
Hey,
Instagram
help him
profile,
out. You
but
get some
here is
Ben
the
and Jerry's later,
website.
okay? Have him follow you in there.
If you guys don't have Instagram, I'll put our link to our group. Whoops. And we're just starting out with this, but we have really big plans to improve the group and to give principles that y'all can build your business on and grow your business quickly. One of the greatest things you can do is learn from someone who's an expert in what it is that you want to do. You'll move so much faster. That is so true. So true. You
The
do.
death pile from hell. I think it might be time to try it.
Yes.
Here's the thing: if you can look at those piles as
Money.
and turning that into actual like customers, like relationships, I think it'll change some things for you. Also, here's the cool thing: once you sell all your stuff, you can go find more stuff.
And you'll feel so much more excited to do so because you're like, I did all the work I needed to do to be able to go out sourcing guilt-free.
The alternative, I like that. Just tuning in. Glad to have you here.
We love you so freaking much, Priscilla. So,
Is this Whatnot tutorial type thing I'm watching?
what?
We're not sponsored by Whatnot.
If they can sponsor us, if they want.
Do you have that
Hey,
connection? First of all, Priscilla, thank you so much. Like watching you doing what you do. We just tuned in, or she showed me a recording from yesterday, and like, look at this, and like to see.
I just had to
I think
show
it'd
them
be-
how beautiful you looked and just how like on point and happy you were to go live. It was like, yeah, it was magnetic, you know. It was like so beautiful.
It'd be interesting to do a side by side if you had the recordings from like your shows in like March to like your shows now. I think it'd be interesting to see like side by side.
I want to do it.
I know. We should do that.
I'm kind of scared of making the post office mad with all the boxes. We make ours furious.
No. Okay, first of all, know this. Our postal carrier, which she now has her number, we can text her. She was actually really excited. She showed up at our house and was like, hey, I have all these like priority boxes, a bunch of them. And I just need to confirm.
We just ordered supplies.
Because you get them for free.
Hi, Bree.
And she was like, I just need to confirm because people have been doing pranks on TikTok where they send like all these priority boxes to people. And so I
actually
just
really
needed to
smart.
make sure that these were for you. I'm like, yeah. And then she was like, so do you guys ship a bunch of stuff out of here? I'm like, yep. She's like, I actually get I get a little kickback for every item that I scan that I pick up. So like, how many are you guys doing? I'm like, oh, we're doing a bunch. I think you're really going to like us. And that was months ago. So they are actually very happy to do it. Although Bridget hasn't been here the last few times.
Yeah, I think she gets done with her shift
Too
quickly.
early.
So
So yeah, the post office likes it, and you should build a relationship, and you should start doing so now because in December it gets crazy. And don't be discouraged when you try. I thought my rack would sell out the first couple shows. No.
peace of mind.
It will happen. Our sell-through rate was super low, meaning like
Yeah.
how many items she had for sale.
Travis bought 6 of my 50 items. And the whole time he kept saying, I shouldn't buy this one, but it's so beautiful.
And look at that. Like honestly, probably the most valuable thing that we receive from Whatnot is the relationships. Like good
Priscilla,
friends. Yeah.
Bree.
Like beyond what we could have ever expected from having a business. Yep. Breeze up in here. I'm sitting in the sauna right now.
Let's go,
It's
Bree.
snowing in southern Utah.
No, we
That's
don't
incorrect.
need that.
It's not snowing in southern Utah.
No.
That's. I think you're thinking of a different place. It's good to know about the mail carrier. That was an incentive they were running. I don't know if they're still doing it, but she still seems to be like really happy about showing up to her house. I see a lot of resellers buying from sellers on here. Curious as to what type of seller they might be. They might be.
Just supporting.
They might be supporting you if you have a traditional business. like a traditional reselling business, you have eBay. Etsy was a really good one for us, where like the profit was really good. I bet there's people on here that are buying stuff and flipping it on eBay or Etsy. It's a good way to source if you're doing the traditional. If you're buying on Whatnot and then trying to turn around and sell it on Whatnot, dang, you better have a solid strategy and know your numbers inside and out. Rather the deliveries be going out than coming in.
Yep.
That's the conversation that we've had before. I'm like, I don't know if they picked up the packages today or you just went on a...
You know what? The last thing I bought was in Priscilla's show, and it was your wallet. Uh-oh.
I buy low and then list on Poshmark and eBay. There is value in that. And if you are... So we had all these listings on eBay, and when we decided to move over, we transitioned over. So we had a bunch of listings up.
We had 7,000 items, people. We had a bunch. We had 7,000.
So we systematically closed down the eBay store as we built up the Whatnot thing as well. And because we were sitting on so many items, it was easy to move those over. So if you are sitting on a bunch of inventory, you're in a beautiful spot. Just be ready to, number one, don't be, as Jen says, don't be romantic about the item. Don't be so in love with the item that you're going to be together forever and you want it to go to the perfect home and they have to spend the perfect, the
name of the game is whoever can recover the fastest wins. So say you have an item and you're like, this will go for $40 and it goes for $5. You need to be like, okay, next item, and move on. Don't over romanticize the outcome of your item because you don't have control over that. You can't control how many people come into your show, and you can't control how much an item is sold for, and you can't control whether it sells or not. So you might as well base your metric of growth or your metric of I'm doing a good job on something that is controllable.
Do you see many wholesalers and whatnot?
Well, I mean, they buy wholesale and then sell it.
Yeah, which is something that we're looking into.
I remember your eBay was so pretty.
That's how long.
That's how long we've known Trav.
Yeah, it's so weird how attached you can get. It is weird, and also I want to kind of challenge that mindset and be like, if you are so attached to these items, one thing to consider is there a belief in this that you believe that you won't be able to find as good of items in the future? Like somehow you came across these and then that's it. Like this is the last of it. And I would challenge that because it's not true. There's so much. Jen would come home from sourcing and she got so tired of me asking this. I'm like, so was there more there? They're like, yeah. Like, how much of this can you get? She's like, I don't know what you're like. I'm like, well, if you went back like right now, would there be more items there? Like you can keep doing this? She's like, yes, there's more out there. And
I promise there will never be
and I'd ask her all the
shortage.
time because she'd come home, we'd turn it and make a profit or even like breaking even, but we saw that our business was growing. And I had to ask her like, so like if you went out again, this would, and she's like, I don't know why you keep asking me this. This is like asking a postal carrier, like, is there going to be more mail coming in tomorrow, do you think? Yes, it never ends. There's so much of it. You got to think of all the different things that are happening. There's so much out there. So don't get attached to these items thinking this is your business.
You guys, every show, I sell it out. I move on. Like every item you're going to move. And with live reselling, the name of the game is quantity. Like how many reps can you get in? I love that Travis said her photography was so good and now that's the one thing she doesn't do anymore. Although I do have an idea to load a little bit of my store to truly be able to show some of my linens. So being able to load my store for the bigger linens, I think I'm gonna do just a few items for my tablecloths so I don't have to lift them up.
Something I've learned from you guys is quality material over brand. Definitely changed my mindset. That's another thing as well, is there's a lot of undervalued things out there because they don't have a brand name on it, but they're quality, like timeless material like silk, wool, linen, quality cotton, these type of things that once you get, because you do this so often, she'll just come in and be like, hey, I got this for you. I don't know what it is, but I know that it's good. How do you know that? Because I have felt hundreds of thousands of items, so she can feel. I would not be surprised if you put a bin in front of her, like, and did like
Stop.
did like some like dojo training stuff and like blindfolded her and like had her go through and she
all
could
of
pick out.
my sourcing is
We should
done.
Mr. Miyagi this.
Yeah, all of my sourcing is done through the bins, so I have to use my eyes very diligently to be like, that's a good fiber, that isn't, that has pilling, that tag says this. Like, I could probably pick out every single Free People item in a bin if I had to.
Danielle says, I feel like that feeling is so much more intense when selling the items from your own closet. What's good about that is you can try your items on, which can help to
Increase the value.
I don't have a bins, etc. So if my cost of goods is higher, how can I do dollar starts at all? Don't and I don't know what your costs of goods are, but let's say your costs of goods are like $5, then or $6 or $7, then go with like a $5 start. Don't do necessarily the $1 starts. It's gonna take maybe a little bit longer, but that's totally fine. Like, keep in mind the thing that you're trying to do is find this balance between the getting people into your show and getting a return customer, not so much on the thing of like, how do I turn a profit on this? Eventually you'll turn a profit, just not initially. I definitely made my starting bid higher for items I love from my closet versus those I kind of felt meh about. Hard to get a loved item to go for $1. Yep, and sometimes you're like, it just has to be donated. Also, when you are doing this, my recommendation is to have your same starting bid throughout the whole thing, so that you're not doing, oh, this is a $1, this is a $5. You'll see a hybrid a little bit because she'll start things at $1, but it's like, I'm starting linens at $1. Everything else goes for $5. I recommend this because it gives people
They know what to expect when they go to your show. They know it's a $5 start show.
Yeah.
If every time they go to your show, you're like, this is $20, this is $5, this is $8, they don't have that repetitive knowing of everything starts at $5, linens start at $1.
Do items you sell in a show have to be listed as a product in your shop? No, they do not. You can put them right there in the show. If you're just starting out, it might be beneficial to list your items, but they do not, it's not necessary.
So I preload my store with mystery pulls. So I will do 100 at 4 to 7 ounces, 100 at 8 to 11, all the way down the shipping scale, or the weight. And I will run them based on the weight. So most of my store is loaded. It's just mystery pull style.
Consider higher starts curated shows. I think that's a great idea. If you know that you have quality stuff, you've been doing this for a while. I think we got rated again.
Oh my goodness, Haley!
If you guys are not following Haley, which is Saved by Faith Co. Saved by Faith Co. Go follow her. She's part of our group as well.
She's like part of our coaching group, and she is such a beautiful gem.
Yeah, you can do higher start stuff. You can do a $10 show. Just don't do a $10 one and then have stuff start at $21 or whatever it might be. Your audience is going to.
Karen. Yes, the Wakanabe sweatshirt. It was like brand new. It was so beautiful. She said that I bought from you was saying it was hard for me to list because I just wanted to look at it forever.
Look at this one. I love my sheets I got from you. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Lil Kim, you're so welcome.
Do you think bins are higher quality in the early morning?
My bins rotates all day long, so I have new items coming into my bins all throughout the day. So for my bins, it doesn't matter what time of day you go. But I mean, I I'm a firm believer in no one can take your portion of sourcing. So, because I used to get all up in, you can ask him, sourcing days were so stressful because one, I felt like if I didn't get there on time, I was going to miss out and I was going to miss out on items. But now I know, like, no one can take my portion because I've gone through enough bins to know that there are good items in every single bin. Whether 100 people have looked through it or 5, there are still amazing items.
Jacqueline, you say, can you give me just a quick overview of how this works? I just found this site, a normal person. Just give me the overview. Yep, this is a live selling bidding site. So an auction site. So we have a bunch of shows on here on different channels. And you can go check them out and kind of just watch and see how it works as far as swiping and bidding. I feel like you're referring to, hey, how does Whatnot work? Is that right? I want to make sure. Or are you asking, like, how does reselling on here? Is it best to stick to a specific category of items, or is it okay to be all over the place? Example, if I'm a jewelry seller and need to sell others, I think as long as you're so I think
I would say you're gonna get more attraction if you stay in one lane.
To build that consistency.
Because if you're, so each section in the app of Whatnot, each section, they all have a different buyer base. So if you're all over the place, so say you're in jewelry and then you're in makeup and then you're in skincare, each one of these categories have different buyers. So you want your buyers to be able to keep coming back and see you and buy from you. And the best way to do that is to stay in one lane. Do you know how to look online for Goodwill or thrift store that does bins? Yes. Danielle, just type in Goodwill outlets. The bins are called the outlets.
Yep. She's on it. Struggling to do women's and kids. I mainly do kids. I feel like it's a whole new clientele I'd have to venture out to.
I honestly do women's and kids. I stopped doing kids like a few weeks ago, right? 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because I really had a lot going on in my personal life. But now I have found that it's actually when you're an established seller on Whatnot, venturing into new categories and creating cross-pollination between the two is actually really valuable. But when you're first starting out, I definitely think only selling in one category, becoming really consistent and really good in one category, and then moving to your other category once you've established yourself.
Kid shows will be coming back. Thanks, Travis, for answering that. Sweet. Do you guys have any other questions? If not, we are going to
wrap it up.
Yep.
But on Friday, we are going to, next Friday, we will have another Q&A. So it most likely, it may just be me and he'll be in the chat because he's got to go get my other kids that day. But bookmark the next Q&A. It is for next Friday. And yeah, you are so welcome.
Yes, you're so welcome.
We love it. And if you guys are interested in the coaching group, this is the website. It's $27 a month. And we currently have 24 members right now. Yes, you can jump in at any point. I love y'all. I love y'all so much. But this is the, sorry, I'm trying to talk and type.
Multitasking is a myth.
That is the the website if you guys want to check out the group. But we love you guys. Thank you so much.
I want to
for a
say
wonderful
bye.
show. Say bye.
I can't. Okay, there. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Whoops. We're rating. We're rating Liz. We're rating Liz. I love you guys. Friday
Bye.
night party.
Bye, Gracie. Travis says bye. Enjoy.